how much pressure is on Tatum to win it all, UD?
I think it's an extreme amount of pressure. I mean, one thing you can say is it's supposed to be fun. It's not fun until you hold that trophy up. It's not fun until you get to that parade. None of the process is fun. It's some sleepless nights. You winning it, you hanging your hat on every win and every loss in the playoff push. So it is not fun when you're going through that process. But what I will say is he should want that pressure. He should want that pressure on himself because there's only a few organizations that truly come into the season every year with the mindset to push and to prepare and to go for a championship. And the Boston Celtics are one of those organizations that every single year, no matter what the roster, they are pushing and their mindset is to win a championship. Also, you look at the pieces that they put around them. You knew they could have got back to the Eastern Conference Finals and possibly the finals if you keep Marcus Smart. But you move a Marcus Smart, a former Defensive Player of the Year. You bring in a KP. So you bring in these pieces, and what do teams do? They bring in pieces to complement their best players. Now, what we're used to and what I'm used to in the past are the best players elevating the level of the players around them. But this is a situation where you brought in some great players. You brought in a Drew Holiday. You brought in a KP. So there is no excuse for you not to win. You have everything that you need to win. Oh, and also, you didn't really play that well in the last final. So I think it's a lot of pressure on Jayson Tatum right now to go out there and play for himself, one, and secondly, because you're wearing that Celtics jersey, where there's an expectation every year. Even though it's unrealistic, there's an expectation every year to put a championship up there.
I understand the expectation because of the organization and it being the Boston Celtics.
Mhm.
But for Jayson Tatum, the pressure is just for him to perform well. He has to play at a high level and be impactful on the floor, not pass up opportunities to attack and put pressure on the rim, not settle for jumpers. He has to be aggressive and he has to bring that dominant mindset alongside Jaylen Brown. That's fine. But Jayson Tatum, for me, this is his second finals. We act like he's been there a multitude of times. This is his second time being in the finals. So just this big expectation that he's supposed to go out and win it. And we also can't forget what's on the other side. The 5 beside the Dallas Mavericks is very deceiving. I understand that they were the 5 seed coming into the playoffs, but they were a 5 seed because of the totality of the season. They're not a 5 seed because of this team that they have recently put together after the trade deadline. I had someone the other day talking to me about the last time Boston played Dallas. Was it early March? They were like, oh, Boston blew them out the last time they played. Daniel Gafford only played 6 minutes in that game. Dallas has figured out their rotations. Dallas has figured out who they go to, what their rotations are, their defensive scheme, their offensive scheme. This is an elite Dallas team with the best player in the finals on the opposite side. And to me, the most experienced player in the finals on the opposite side when it comes to Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. So for Jayson Tatum, the expectation to win is there because it's Boston, but the biggest pressure point for him is just to play well and be dominant and be the best player on the floor for Boston.
What
I
I'll
don't
say
just
to this real quick.
go ahead,
Oh,
UD. Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I would say I would say that to this. He has played well, but we continue to move the goalposts for Jayson Tatum. We continue as a culture and as basketball critics and fans, we continue to move the goalposts for Jayson Tatum. So I don't know if playing well is enough at this point because he has played well. He played well in the last series, and we gave the trophy to Jaylen Brown, who played well and was probably the most consistent player. But he played well in the last series, but he still got criticism because he didn't play well the first couple games. So we've seen him play well. We've seen him put up numbers, and that's expected of him.
Well,
What else? What's next?
let me say this to you, UD, because I don't agree with you there. And in your case,
Okay.
Andraya, I think that what you said was accurate but incomplete. When it comes, first, let me address Andrea's point. No, you're absolutely right. It's not about winning a title per se. But you can't be the reason we lost.
Okay.
You're like, you can't be the reason. So in other words, we have to look at your game. And if you're Jayson Tatum, we have to look at your game in the NBA Finals and literally say, oh, they damn sure didn't lose because of him.
Yeah.
So whatever Luka does, whatever Kyrie does, whatever anybody else does, we got to look at you and say, yo, this brother did his thing.
Yeah.
Now, you might average 35 and busting their living, you know what, and still lose because Luka and Kyrie's too much.
Yeah.
But you got to do it.
That's fine.
In other words, you got to do that point. We got to say, we can't look at Jayson Tatum and say, he should have done more. That's all I mean by that. Now let me get to you, UD. First, let me throw out these numbers. Jayson Tatum, NBA Finals, 21.5 points, 6.8 rebounds, 7 assists, and the Finals lost to Golden State, right? Shot 46% from three-point range. Only 34% in the paint, though, and 26% from mid-range. Couldn't find Outside of the three-point shot, nothing was working for him in that series. Overall, 37% field goal shooting in the 2022 NBA Finals, right? Second worst ever in a playoff series for him, right? And then here's the biggest thing. Close out Game 6, lost to Golden State. On your home turf, 13 points, 6 for 18 shooting, 0 free throw attempts, more turnovers, 5, than rebounds, 3. So when you say moving the goalposts, where I disagree with you is nobody moved the goalposts. They just stayed right there. In other words, these are the finals, UD. You've been in a few of them, okay? You got a few rings. It is the finals. And it's like, yo, every series precedes that. Had you done this in the conference finals, then we would look at you now that you got to the finals, and we would say, all right. The problem is what happened with him happened in the finals. And this is your 5th conference finals that you just completed. So we're looking at it and we're saying, okay, here it is. It's the championship. You're a Boston Celtics. We know Jayson Tatum's great. Great guy, great player. You know, a face of the league with all these damn commercials that he's got. Well earned, by the way. Nobody's throwing any shade on them. We're simply looking for the final nail of confirmation and validation that says you are what we think you are. That's it. There's no moving of the goalpost. We're reminding him the goalpost is right where it's been for years, and you have yet to go through it. You gotta do it. That's all we're saying.
Irving's got some history with the C's after spending 2 seasons in Boston, telling fans that he'd resign following that 2019 season. However, Kyrie signed with the Brooklyn Nets instead and has been met with plenty of boos at TD Garden. We know those Boston fans go hard. Kyrie 0-10 against the Celtics. Stephen A., what do you think the reception should be from Boston tonight? How should they treat Kyrie?
I think it should be vicious. I don't have a problem saying that. I mean, vicious, but obviously within reason. Don't do anything physical or stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
They should boo the hell out of him. They shouldn't like him. They should want to despise him because he was a star. His first season, they averaged 24 and 5 in the 60 games he played for them. Yeah. His exact quote to them is, if you guys will have me back, I plan on resigning here next summer, and then infamously departed to go to Brooklyn. Okay, you're the Boston Celtics. You're one of the most storied franchises in basketball annals. And then you obviously see the history that he has with them thereafter in terms of stomping on the leprechaun and all of this other stuff. But what I'm saying is that I'm speaking purely in basketball context. They shouldn't like a thing about him because he is starring for someone other than them. It's a form of respect to be indifferent and silent and melancholy or whatever it is about him. Isn't giving him the respect his greatness demands. That greatness of Kyrie Irving is supposed to be in a Boston Celtics uniform. And if you're the Boston Celtics, you should resent the fact that he's doing it for somebody else and want to do everything you can to beat him.
Both teams impressive on their paths to leading to this point. UD, who do you think should be favored in these finals?
I think Boston should be favored. They've been the best team in basketball all season. Historically, on both ends of the basketball court, usually when a team can guard, they can't score, or if they can score, they can't defend. They've been able to do it on both ends of the floor, so I think Boston definitely should be favored.
Well, I think they should be favored, too. That don't mean I think they're going to win. I mean,
exactly.
They should be.
Great point.
They should be favored.
Well, that's the first question.
They're the better team. The Boston Celtics should be with Brown, with Tatum, with Derek White and Drew Holiday as a backcourt. They should be favored.
I get where both you were saying, and I know people are going to probably give me a lot of heat, especially Boston fans, and I understand Boston has the better team, and they've had that all season long. But this Dallas group, since the trade deadline, has had a phenomenal record. They're playing extremely well. They've been tested throughout the playoffs against teams that have won more than 50 games during the regular season, and they've been healthy. I know Luka's been hobbled, but Boston having to bring Kristaps Porzingis back into the mix, yes, it could go wonderfully, and that's great for Boston, but it also could be something that gives them a little bit of trouble early. Boston hasn't protected home court. They were competing in a competitive game when they went by 3 against a Tyrese Halliburton-less Pacers team. Yeah. They lost to a Jimmy Butler Heat team that were missing him. So when I think about the way these teams are playing, and UD, I know that's your team. I'm not dissing the Heat. I'm not saying they shouldn't have beat Boston. I'm just saying the way these two teams are playing, coming in, and what I've seen from them, I personally think Mavs have the edge, and the Mavs are favored.
All right. All right, let's pick it. UD, you're up first. Who do you have winning the whole darn thing?
Dallas. I got Dallas winning. I think Dallas is deeper. You talk about they got Exum on the bench. They got Green coming off the bench. They got Lively coming off the bench. Tim Hardaway Jr., who doesn't get much playing time, is also coming off the bench. I think they can guard these guys better. Oftentimes, NBA play-up games are about matchups. I just think they match up better. They can switch pick and rolls and take them out of all the triggers. And on the other end, I think Dallas is going to attack Porzingis.
All right, real quick. And how many games and who's the finals MVP? Quickly.
7 games, and I got Luka being the MVP.
Okay. Stephen A., go through it.
I got the Mavs in 6
Okay.
in Dallas.
Okay.
Can't see anybody going to Game 7 in Boston in that environment and winning for an NBA championship on the line. And I'm going to have to go with Luka. I think Kyrie will warrant consideration, but Luka is obviously a global icon.
All right. I'm going Celtics in 6, Tatum finals MVP.
Wow.
Again, going against the grain.
I love that. I love that view. It's really interesting. Y'all said Boston's favored, but you both picked Dallas, so I understand that. I'm going Dallas.
Okay.
Also, Luka MVP in 6.
Okay.
Hey, Stephen A., I know a team that won a Game 7 on Boston floor.
You
before.
did, but not in
Okay,
the
I'm just
finals.
saying.
I said the finals, not the conference finals.
It was the Eastern Conference Finals.
I know that, but I was talking the finals. You know, like when the Lakers played against Boston, that kind of environment. That's what I'm
just
talking
letting you
about.
know, I'm just letting you know, ain't nobody scared to go in there Game 7. I'm just letting you know that.
I just want to make sure I got this right. So you all have the Mavs in 6?
UD said 7.
I got him in 7.
Okay.
I got him in 7.
7. Okay.